Welcome back to Music Theory Logic. Andrew here, and I'm excited to be showing you the inside, under the hood of one of my tracks that is not, when this video comes out, quite out for the public. It will come out this Thursday, July 28th. Let's go ahead into the Logic session. So this is a track under my dance music artist alias that I've been somewhat inactive with in the last year or so, but I put out a ton of music that I am proud of, and when the opportunity presents itself, I drop music that I'm into, but I have quite a few projects on my plate at this point. So my goal today, I'm going to do an in-depth music theory breakdown on this where I show you all the chords, the different layers, what's going on in the whole song. But right now I'm going to focus on the sound design, pretty simple, the wobble that I built, the bass that you're hearing, and then the vocal chop. And I'm going to kind of explain how I did that and play the various layers that I have going on here. So without further ado, here is the basically 8 bars before the drop and the first drop section. Cool. So without giving away a ton of the different, the rest of the song, it's very much a sort of like a singer-songwriter type vibe of the original track that Pip Lewis and I made. That's the singer, my collaborating artist, and Once Upon a Time production client slash student. She go check out her music. She's a phenomenal songwriter. And basically my goal when I've sent her a beat, she sent it back to me. I didn't really know where I was going to take it. I was thinking I was going to make it into a dance edit. So I started out by making a vocal chop out of her original vocal. So the main one that I made that you're hearing sounds like this. So a couple things happening there. One, I basically took the original hook and I chopped out vocals that I liked. I then reversed some of them. So like the second one is a reverse. Or I guess part of that is a reverse. I then put everything I chopped into Melodyne. Melodyne is a very, very cool custom pitch plugin. If you work with lots of vocalists, you should definitely know about it, and hopefully you are working towards getting it. It's a workhorse. It's not a replacement for auto-tune, but they work kind of in conjunction together. So if I take off my effects chain right there, we have this. First thing I did was automate in different parts of the track the high cut. So there's an EQ first. Then I'm going into my UAD auto-tune, the old one. I have it loaded up to our D major and then Ling Lun. So the scale, and essentially I just did that by ear, just kind of like having fun with it. That then is going into a guitar amp, and then I'm sending that into Little Altar Boy to play with the formats. All right, so if we look at the next channel, we have essentially the same thing, except for our mix here, our formats are different, and I am sending the first one is center in the mix. This one is 34 to the left, and then finally I have this one which has all of the same plugins on it, except I am compressing it a little bit more. Let's hear that one on its own. So that one, I'm using this little Ultra Boy from Sound Toys to push the formats down. So all together, you get kind of like a big sound. Lots of electronic artists do this, not only just on like vocal chops, but you can actually do the same sort of sound on any vocal section. Let's hear this. All right, so a lot of the other layers that are happening, like one of my favorite is her harmony channel, which is basically doing this. All right, and then let's talk about the bass. So if I scroll down here to, let's see, our new main Wobble. So I'll talk a little bit more about like the routing that I'm doing here, but I'm using bus like subgroups basically to compress, in this case, the bass and the drums. That is essentially gain staging. So compressing these together, that'll give them some glue. And then I actually did all the mastering for this track in another session. That's why this doesn't thump or doesn't sound as loud as it will when it comes out. So first of all, MIDI-wise, super simple. I'm just basically doing root note stuff, but the magic here is in this bass that I built. So let's hear it with those vocal chops. Cool. So I'm using Cymatics Flanga for the first wavetable. I have that down an octave. I'm using the sub oscillator down an octave. I am using the basic default wavetable for oscillator B, which I'm really using as a subtle layer in there using, so LFO1 is controlling our wavetable position of oscillator A, and it was controlling some noise stuff, but notice I have the noise oscillator disabled at this point, as do I do the filter. So then if I go into our effects channel, we are using hyperdimension expander, distortion, an EQ, and a filter, but none on that LFO1. So LFO2, this is really where like the wobble is happening. So that is controlling our filter cutoff. It's also controlling our mix amount of the distortion. That's what makes it feel like it's getting dirtier. It's also controlling the mix knob on the hyperdimension expander. So basically on a quarter note, it's not like a triangle, so it's happening a little bit faster in the beginning than at the end. But that is all of those parameters are going up with this. So we get our volumes and then the actual controls inside of the dimension expander. All right, so let's hear just that bass on its own. Sounds like this. Cool. So hopefully you liked that. My main goal with the track was to make it really like fit the song. So I will play the full track for you on Friday, and we will go through all the different layers. But in essence, I think like the vibe and what she's talking about kind of fits this. The drop then becomes somewhat contemplative, like you're thinking about what she's talking about, and the vocal chops kind of serve to do something melodic. It's interesting sonically, but I also really kind of like them because they sound like words, but they're not actual words. So your imagination can start to fill in the gaps. But yeah, hopefully that helped explain some of the sound design. Pretty simple Serum stuff. I love doing those rhythmic wobbles. And then vocal chops. Once again, the way I approach it is I take a vocal, I chop out the things that I think might be cool samples. I drag them to new audio, start to make rhythms out of them. I'll take some random ones and reverse it, keep going creatively. Once I get something that I feel like rhythmically works, I'll bring it into Melodyne and then use that as the basis for controlling the formants and the pitch and bringing out the melody that I then want to do. So If you found this helpful, you would help me out a lot by subscribing to the channel. I'll put the link to pre-save the track if you happen to use Spotify or iTunes. That would help me out a lot by pre-saving the track. If you see this after July 28th, Reveled in the Sins featuring Pip Lewis by d.r.u. Me, my dance music alias will already be out, so I hope you enjoy the track. Go check it out, and if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'm always happy to answer questions. And if you yourself are making music and you want to show us and my other viewers your music, leave a link. We'd love to check it out. So have a wonderful time. Go make some music. Cheers.